world is facing into, like India is facing into most, a huge phenomenon which is driving up pollution and which is driving up deaths from what is known now as lethal humidity. This is a combination of humid heat, which is coming in waves across India and in waves across the world. And it is the most dangerous phenomenon the world has ever faced. If you look at World War II or World War I, the potential of mass death in multiple parts of the world is way higher with lethal humidity. Those countries who have foresightful leadership, who lean into lethal humidity, who counteract it, take the measures to prevent it, and lead the world out of global warming are those countries who the global investment community, people like me who look for countries to invest in, look for communities to invest in, look for tens of thousands of people to employ, they're the countries we go to. So I'm encouraging India to lean into lethal humidity, be the first to recognize it, be the first to take the measures to lead the world out of global warming and to defeat lethal humidity within the shores of your wonderful country. Thank you. It will help other countries because lethal humidity is a function now which the entire global scientific world agrees on. You know, to get scientists to all agree is not that usual, but we've traveled throughout Europe, throughout North America, throughout China, throughout Australia, and also throughout the most populous and I think most important country in the world, India. And we have global scientific consensus that the world must now stand up and face into lethal humidity, must defeat the worst aspect of global warming which is upon us right now. And I have governments like America, like China, like Australia, like Europe, and of course like India, who are listening and saying, okay, how do we collaborate? How do we get together so that we put aside all our geostrategic arguments, all our differences of opinion? Do we contain China? Do we help India? All this rubbish doesn't matter in the fullness of history. What matters is that we protect our people. And leaders around the world, business leaders and political leaders, are stepping up and saying, yes, my first obligation is to protect my people. And I say to those leaders who don't, maybe it's time you stop being a leader because that is your first responsibility. Good question. The developed nations of the world, North America, Australia, many other countries see as our responsibility, of course, to protect our own people, but also to protect the people of all the world, whether or not you're trading partners or not. It is our responsibility to keep a calm and growing world where the standard of living of every generation improves from generation to generation. With lethal humidity, the only part which human survival will not tolerate, which is humidity and heat, then we know that we will not leave this world better for our children if we tolerate lethal humidity. Lethal humidity is simply where human survival, the upper edge of human survival, stops, because you can handle heat, but you cannot handle humidity and heat. This is a function the world over. 3 billion people are at risk worldwide who cannot get to air conditioning, who will suffer lethal humidity events and are at risk of fatal outcomes. The world and the world's leaders are listening and know they must move. They cannot hide from this, and the good leaders, like the leaders here, are stepping up all over the world. I've been visiting the most research-driven academic nations in the world, and this is why I'm in India. You have some of the greatest scientists and great academics and greatest understanding of the climate which I've seen anywhere in the world. One of the many beauties about visiting India is that I do not have to put up with people who deny that mankind is causing, has caused, and will seriously exacerbate global warming. All of India knows this. You are on the front line of this battle for the world. And what I have loved most is that when the conversations start, that we move straight into solutions. We don't argue, is it happening? Unfortunately, I can have arguments with people who seriously have no idea. they shouldn't be let out of their little caves to express an opinion, because the rest of the world, unfortunately all of India, know that global warming is upon mankind. To deny it does nothing. To accept its most dangerous, fatal aspect, which is lethal humidity, is not to care for your people. So accepting lethal humidity, this population-wide heat and humid probability which now sits upon our people, all of Northern Australia, large parts of India, large parts of China, very large parts of America, all these countries now face the threat of lethal humidity, and this threat, we as mankind, working together, must stop.